Phil Spencer talks Xbox Series X, and since we're all still quarantined, we might as well take a listen. Welcome everyone, and thank you so much for joining me for another gaming news video. Now let's just sit back and jump into the story immediately. Phil Spencer came out with an interview over at IGN, and he had a lot of interesting things to say. They touched on price and exclusives and pre-orders, the PlayStation 5 and more. I will put a link down in the description if you would like to go and watch the full interview for yourself, but for those of you who do not have an hour to spend, let's just try and break down a few key points. Well, here's a little bit of good news. Phil Spencer did say that there will be no delays for the launch of the Xbox Series X. At least that's what it looks like right now. Obviously, you cannot predict what the future will hold, especially during these times right now, but things seem to be on track, at least for the most part. Now, he did say that there are some challenges when it comes to the hardware and the software, more so with the software because people cannot be in the same room right now. So if I read in between the lines, it looks like getting those exclusive games out with the launch of the Xbox Series X is turning out to be a little bit of a struggle, but they will not delay the launch of the new console because of it. Now, obviously, exclusives is a big selling point. I know even personally for me, during the launch of the current generation consoles, the Xbox One and PlayStation 4, those exclusives at the beginning was a huge selling point and did help me make my choice. So it will be interesting to see what a launch of the next generation console will look like if those exclusives will not be available, but I guess only time will tell. But also one thing that Phil Spencer did touch on when it comes to the release of the new Xbox, he did say that when they are going to release, it will be a worldwide release, and that is great news. He said that to release in certain parts of the world but not in other parts of the world will hurt the momentum of the sales, and I could not agree more. People do not like to wait, especially when there is a console available in one part of the world but not in the other. You do not need to look any further for evidence of that than all of these time exclusive games. If you release it on one platform but you do not release it on another platform, people will just lose interest and move on. Now obviously that rule applies for games that was previously available on one platform but is now a timed exclusive. People are already of two minds about what console they're going to buy, the Xbox or the PlayStation. If one console is available in a region and the other one is not, people will just choose the available console. It will be like what VHS was to Betamax.
What's Betamax? Exactly.
What's VHS?
Now let's talk price. It was very clear from the start that Phil Spencer was not going to give us an actual price. It does look like they have a price point in mind, but nothing has been set yet by Microsoft. They are still assessing the market conditions. Also, they're kind of playing the waiting game here. They're most likely waiting for Sony to come out with a price so they can try and match that price or potentially beat it. But it looks like they are going to be very aggressive with the price. That is a good thing because price really can be a breaking point for you. Again, look no further than the current generation consoles. Sony released the PlayStation 4 at $400 and Microsoft released the Xbox One at $500. Now that was with the Kinect included. Who still remembers that thing? That thing was even worse than the Zune, but anyway, that $500 price tag did set them back and they never really managed to recover from that. When Sony announced their price point, the whole place went absolutely nuts.
At $399.
So setting a good price point is very important, and it looks like Microsoft might have learned their lesson this time around. Isn't competition just a beautiful thing? Just imagine if one console was available and the other one was not. We would have probably seen an $800 price point, if not more.
$1 million.
Now, he also did have a few things to say about the PlayStation 5, and that was just that looking at the specs of the PlayStation 5, he felt really good about the choices that Xbox made. And that is because Xbox has Sony beat when it comes to the actual specs of the hardware, so I'm sure it feels really good, especially if you take into consideration that they started working on the new console back in 2017, so they just made all the right choices leading up to this launch. But I am sure that he knows that specs alone do not sell a console. Proper support and exclusive plays a big part. And when I hear statements from executives like exclusives will not be a big focus point, I do start to get a little bit concerned. Now, I do not mind this at all, but when you release all of your Xbox exclusive games on the PC as well, you are cutting a little bit into your own market. PC gamers might have gotten an Xbox to play certain games, and now they're just going to wait for the Windows release. You might not see PC as competition because it is all Windows. But when you try and sell a console, you might want to rethink that mindset. But like I said, I'm fine with it. In fact, I love it because I play most of my games on PC anyway. Now here is another interesting thing, xCloud. People have been talking about gaming on the cloud for a while now, and that would be awesome. Just imagine having a gaming Netflix where everything is available instantly. But when it comes to xCloud, it looks like they might use that technology for demo games. If there is a game you would like to try out, you can just go into xCloud and play the game instantly, and then if you like the game you can download it, and that is great because then you do not have to take up the time and take out the space downloading the game or the demo just for you not to like the game. Now I'm also sure everybody already knows this, so I'm just gonna touch on it quickly. There will be no E3, in fact there will be no Microsoft event or Microsoft launch party or anything. There will be announcements in the coming weeks and coming months, so we're just gonna have to keep an eye out for that. Now one thing that I would just like to touch on is the optical sound removal. Now the reasoning behind that is very few people actually uses it. So what Microsoft is doing here is working with third-party companies to ensure that all of those headsets actually work on the Xbox Series X. So based on the information that we have right now, it will be possible for you to use your current headset you have on the Xbox One on the new generation console as well. I guess they are just trying to reduce the cost here. They spend hundreds of millions of dollars on these features that almost nobody use, and they can just spend that money on the Xbox system instead, and it looks like that's what they're doing right now. The only challenge that they might be faced with right now is sorting out the operating software the Xbox Series X will actually run on. Since software is an issue, you can expect huge updates at the release on day one, and I know how much everybody loves that. Now there is a lot of new games to be excited about. It is not clear yet what games will be available at launch, but I'm hoping for at least Halo. I think Halo at launch will be great for the console, and it will be huge for Xbox. Then after that release, in the coming months they can release a new game like Forza, and then in between they can sparkle a few of the smaller games. But even without the exclusives, there is a lot of things to be excited about. Just the power of these things will be absolutely amazing, and that goes for the Xbox and for the PlayStation. Playing games like Cyberpunk 2077 on the next generation console will just be absolutely amazing. It is not clear yet what other exclusive there might be, but we're just gonna have to wait and see. But on that note, this is where I'm going to end it. So thank you so much for joining me. Remember to stay safe, wash your hands, and I hope to see you again next time.